Welcome to our lovely future humans, to the 5D collective, to those who have a steady self image and nervous system sovereignty. We are going to honor, I am, in my own unique way, that which is a beautiful holiday for those of us who celebrate Jesus, who taught us how to forgive, God, who taught me, and the Holy Spirit, what beautiful angels all my brothers and sisters are at, and that the ones who are not fulfilled yet, well, their life's purpose is not about religion, spirituality, or science. It cannot give you that purpose. It can give you support, like it's given me. It's not going to give you that sense of fulfillment that the self of you from your nervous system and your embodied brain is seeking. So hold on for a minute. As those of you who tuned in yesterday, here's the name of that priest who is also a scientist way back when, and the Big Bang Theory, something like that. Okay, the gist of it. The name, so you can look him up. George Lemaitre. And it's Belgian. So George, Georges. And the last name is Lemai with a little square, not square, excuse me. The ones of you who can't see me, it's like a roof, like a triangle, but without the bottom of it. Okay, that's my best way of using my words right now. And TRE. Awesome. Okay, so with that, while I know that those who will find it uncomfortable to hear that there is no fixed one meaning to life, as we were discussing yesterday, those of you who are ready to live your life's purpose with the steady self-image, whether you are embodying self-leadership completely in the capacity that I know for me is present, so you know the difference between triggers that are from your past and the effective realism, and you're appreciating all the growth that's coming from yourself, and you know how to handle any of those emotionally immature people, whether in your relationships or in positions of quote-unquote leadership. Okay, so believing in yourself, pretty straightforward. Forgiving also. And oh, by the way, for the mystic and spiritual community, if you're curious about my story with God, he's discerning equanimous love, and there's a chapter where you can learn a little bit about me and my background, and the book is called The Ways to God, and I'm a co-author of it alongside another 9 spiritual co-authors. So for me, I might read to some of the chapter before we go, but what I want you to know is, by being rejected from a number of individuals out there, however many they may be, I'm not upset at it. I am disappointed, because when I read the word prophecy that was gifted to me, spiritual gifts, clairs, they're all one and the same, speaking forth the mind and heart of God to encourage, comfort, challenge, or strengthen outside of time, so can predict events future with, what is the word? With visions or dreams. Yes, divine revelation. So I have all these things, by the way. And the word of wisdom, diffuse conflict and provide clarity. What I am disappointed in is something that there's no reason to even bother continuing to explore, because remember, you're never say never, but you're never going to get an apology from any of those who are emotionally immature. They lack the capacity to discern. They lack the capacity to notice their inflated, insecure ego. They lack the capacity to get humble on the floor and get out of their left. And by the time you get to become a donkey to a person like myself, it will be completely obvious to me, and it will be completely obvious to any other emotionally intelligent human being out there, religion, spiritual, or science. What I have an issue with, quote unquote, is that there's a bunch of smart human beings out there who want to tell me I'm a dumbass. I'm wondering, why do we have so many different groups using the word leader, yet none putting in the right places that which is called, again, this George Lemaitre. I don't even know what year it was from. And so when someone tells me I'm rejected, which is a conversation I recently had because I'm a mystic, and that God doesn't need science, and then they go on to give me an explanation of why decentralizing the self and religious experiences of Patrick McNamara, a neuroscientist, is not being welcomed, and then what the story of Adam and Eve is, I'm just thinking, you got narrative after narrative after narrative, and you're not even hearing that you're defending an entire group of people that I'm just wondering how they're explaining it to you logically. You just gave me an answer. I might as well go hang out with the flat earthers and just have a good time there too. So that's why the word evil, the word devil, demon, all of these, they don't mean anything to a mystic who's spiritual, who is faithful, and who, by the way, already by the time I was 20 said, hey God, so I don't see this Lucifer. And I was scared shitless as I'm talking to him. I was like, I know the people in the cloak that taught me are telling me I'm supposed to take their word for your word, but they're hurting children, and they're hurting people, and they're hurting and hurting and hurting. And I have a good relationship with my upbringing, but a bunch of people look at me and do this every time I say I have a good Christian Catholic upbringing, and they even try to convert me and a lot more. So I'm pretty sure something's off. That's how it works when you have a steady self-image. You don't lose faith, you don't lose religion, spirituality. You just get told you're going to be rejected. In the meantime, those who buy into the bullshit, I'm just wondering how you don't notice the epistemic laziness of. So that's my edge right now. So my point is, my mother taught me manners. I can't tell people they're stupid, and I'm stupid too. And you're not going to convince someone who is buying into the bullshit by those fear-based leaders, the ones who are egoic and arrogant. And that's why you don't speak forth the mind and heart of God. You speak forth books, yes, and you do a really great job at making no sense to those of us who do know what sense and logic are, not based on Hansel and Gretel, because that's the minute of truth. Flat earthers are like a Hansel and Gretel. So are the ones who are obtuse with other pieces of information, and that means they're not grounded in reality. So when you don't know how to allow your cherishable beliefs to be put to the side and have nice conversations, then when explanation is gifted to you about what an embodied brain is and a human being, it's pretty clear. There's no actual disconnect with the embodied brain's explanation. So neuroscientists know of the flow state, neurobiologists, and all the good mental health professionals, and the only ones who are denying it and want to continue to box people up. So, at the end of the day, I'm disappointed. They want to use the word leaders. They can do so. Fear-based leadership is for fear-based people who don't have a steady self-image, which is why they can call us all the names in the book. I'm not actually impressed, and I'm not afraid, because like Jesus told all of his followers and all the people who heard him and who still use his name, they can kill you. They won't kill your soul, and you better bet they can't kill the life of every single person. There's 8 billion of us. The higher self of every person, that child that's within you, you better bet your bottom it's not going anywhere if you stay alive. So what's beautiful is to meet those who are. For those of you who celebrate, happy Easter. I'm giving you a hug. And I wish that we could all be on the same page. That's my wish. But it's not probably going to happen just because I'm not seeing it. The Dalai Lama called out to all of the religious spiritual figures, but I haven't seen them all come together. And it's not the first time. So life, it has no fixed purpose, as we talked about yesterday. But everyone can grow into a meaningful one. Purpose isn't something you find. It's something you feel when you are regulated enough to experience life fully. The purpose of life depends on your nervous system, and not everyone talks about it or realizes it or believes it to be true. People don't struggle with life's purpose. They struggle with their state and their mind. It's hard to feel. It's hard to think. There is no single purpose to life. People won't like that one, by the way. The ones who lack a steady self-image and they lack nervous system sovereignty, that is because they will feel lost. So when you're unstable and you hear life has no fixed meaning, now you have not one anchor, and that left is like, I can't be in the right. So the right is what handles uncertainty, unknowns, meaning you can sit here. In fact, emotionally immature people have a right that is, as I got explained, underdeveloped. They can develop it, but they need to use the bright sides of neuroplasticity, and they need to take themselves seriously. So that's a side note. So lost, overwhelmed, hopeless, helpless, the default mode network, you've heard of it. Dysregulation is what we're talking about, okay? And religion, spirituality, or science won't make up for this. They might be able to validate them. They might be able to give them belonging. They might even be able to give them a narrative. And that is not, though, what they're actually looking for, because it's from here. That longing is from here. The longing for purpose that is meaningful. Purpose emerges from regulated embodied living, which all of those of you who are embodying it right now know what I'm talking about. Purpose is state dependent, nervous system state dependent. So your interoception and exteroception, you can again navigate the flow state with your brain, and that's why it's not externally defined. You don't need the answer to what's life's purpose You need the capacity to live the question, which is what makes it fun for the, again, embodied divine feminine simply means, in Maria's terms, that you own this nervous system and your embodied brain, and that's why you also have the empowered divine masculine. And so, while religion, spirituality, and science don't give you purpose, they can support it, but the problem isn't the system. So we can talk all day long about systems in schools and da-da-da-da-da. It's the state of the person using it. So when you're using your embodied brain. And that's why until you have wholeness, you're not going to have fun in the playground of your mind, because your 3-year-old is not having fun. Your 1-year-old is still scared shitless. Your teenager is still spiting that which is whatever happened and being the, I'm going to get my way. And you won't notice, I want to do that. We are doing the diet. That's my personal story for those of you who are new. So there is no problem, by the way, with the system. There's a system that can be updated and fixed because our kings and queens are 14 years of age, and now that we're more conscientious and smarter and intelligent, we will do so. And those who don't believe so, they're the ones who can continue thinking what they think. We know we will make it to tomorrow, because that's the point of what willpower is, and the free will to say, oh no, we use our brain, self-agency, we have it. You don't believe we have it, that's okay, you keep doing whatever you do best. Those who think that our brain is an idiot or that we can't harness it, they don't harness their own. The only reason you're going to think you can't, no, that we can't do it is because you can't do it. I can do it. Doesn't mean I'm exempt from falling for shit, quote unquote. But you better bet I'm going to continue being self-aware, accountable, and regulating. I'll notice my effective realism. I'll notice my ego. I'll keep growing. Okay, so from within. That's why you want to be yourself, why you want to work with steadiness, why you use journaling, the mindset practices from the Pay Hip store. That's on however you're bringing forth the depths of you. But it's an honor and it's a pleasure, and you're having a good time meeting the depths of you. This is why would you ever give up bringing yourself into all of that which is a room? You don't shy away and become small because of those who are not ready. So emotionally immature people, they can stay small. The ones who have a steady self-image, they don't shrink their energy or their mouth or their feelings or whatever. There's no part of you that goes missing. You always learn and you always expand. In my case, God taught me to forgive, not play the know-it-all with Jesus, Holy Spirit. Again, my good upbringing. And then when I became a mystic, I'm like, oh, we're all a big ball of energy. Awesome. And that was it. And the downloads didn't confuse me. Twin flames didn't confuse me. You don't get confused when you have a steady self-image. And that's where, thanks Sadhguru, where is it? A truly intelligent mind is neither influenced by memory nor deluded by imagination. An integrated brain doesn't get overwhelmed when there's downloads. So the decentralizing in the self with the religious experiences goes well, and you expand. Those who go and flip a switch, one day they're a mystic, the next day they're calling every single one of us horrible, evil, Lucifer, devil, because they had a nightmare and or more, and there you go. That's 4D for you. And that's why they're all backstabbers and liars. So anyone with an unstable self-image, to me, I'll be able to know because they'll flip a switch. One day they're praising and on this side. Then the next time it'll be over there. And then at a certain point, I don't even know if they'll take accountability for one or the other. And really, we all will make that which people like to call mistakes and failures or whatever. If you're growing, you're always going to say they're not mistakes or failures. I'm learning. I'm growing. I actually thank the experience. No, you don't need to suffer. The whole thing of suffering and life and pressure, it doesn't break you. It shows what level of self-leadership you're in, and if you're doing good resilience, you're going to expand a window of welcome. If you need a good therapist, you're going to go do that first. Once you own your body and you move into resilience, then it's going to be, if you want to complain about it, you complain about it. If you don't want to complain about it, you grow emotional intelligence. It's really that simple. And when someone says it's not, no, it is. For some of us, it's not hard to feel, and it's not hard to think. And so it's up to those who are ready for a steady self-image, nervous system sovereignty, to understand that that little sweet spot is you moving over the hump every time that call to the familiarity of what's small. I don't know it. I started to grow up when I was a teenager, meaning I didn't say I'm going to shy away from being that which is a person who has integrity. I'm not following a crowd. And I, to this day, when I see the masses rallying up, I just think we need more embodied, love-based leaders who can teach manners to those who want them. And that's because some don't want them, and they like their pitchforks. And that's the part of what those who are playing to crowd, validation loops, ego defending, not growing, they create very uncomfortable environments. Anyone who's emotionally intelligent will know what's going on, and they won't be trying to argue anything, because as Buddhist psychologists point out, if it's not offering value and it won't expand a room, you leave it. And as those who know how a non-bilaterally integrated brain person works, they're not hearing you. Adaptive child part, that's why, as Terry Real points out, it's a losing strategy. But it's only losing if they have people who don't know how to be their own selves. So the problem isn't the system, and again, it's not that the state of the person is a problem, but the state of the person is what's going to be affecting how they can handle something. So if they are unsteady within, they're not using prefrontal, and they will long for steadiness to anchor in life's purpose. And so that's the part of why religion, spirituality, science won't give that to them. Why am I here? The question, right? What's the purpose of life? Those are like the rooster and the egg. And so people with an unsteady self-image who lack the capacity to fill that longing from here and become whole, they're going to continue seeking. And once they find their validation group, like a flat earther group, it doesn't mean they feel fulfilled, which is why they stop growing. And that's the part of where it's still their choice, though. So purpose, it isn't building something in like big moments. That's not how it gets built. It gets built, one, again, when you own that steady self-image, but in small moments over time. So it's once you're yourself under pressure, bringing forth your A game, and that's our self-leaders. And I'm going to read to you from our past IHP Carousel content. So those of you who will have tuned in will have already heard it. Okay, so at that point, you will be able to, with the moments that you create, with whatever it is that your purpose is and your steady self-image, bring forth a life that is meaningful. And if you're uncomfortable with the conversation, I understand why I've said that. And I really do, because I know what people have told me. But if you're curious, stick around, subscribe, share with your friends who you know also are steady. And that's where they welcome all differences, and they are epistemically curious, so it means they like to learn new things, and they're not putting religion, spirituality, or science against each other. And from our past IHP Carousel content, for our self-leaders, our 5D mystic, spiritual, mindful, living, loving people who believe in themselves, here's this from my heart to you. Our responsibility is to choose how we show up every single day. Embodied self-leaders model integrity and wholeness. We do not shrink ourselves or humanity's capacity to evolve. We expand our knowledge and grow our mental capacity. We do not minimize our depth because others cannot meet it. We regulate intensity and deepen our relationship with ourselves. Through journaling, mindset practices, self-reflection, wellness habits, and steady, self-aware living, we pursue personal and spiritual growth. We lead by example. We model what humanity is truly capable of, especially for the children of this world who represent our collective future. They deserve to see that creation is not flawed at its core, that science and spirit both affirm human potential, that no monster inhabits our brothers or sisters, only unintegrated pain. Pain that can be healed with support, with therapy, with conscious integration, so that one day we may see each other without masks, without performance, without the maladaptive strategies that once helped us survive our earliest years. Those vulnerable 0 to 8 years when we all sought safety, co-regulation, and a secure haven and base. That's a third attunement, repairing ruptures. That's that perfect childhood, if you will. And I do it this way because when people want to use that word, there is no one size fits all. You're a complex system like I am, and our embodied brain will be what interacts with that environment. So that's something you want to remember. That's our free will. That some people say we don't have. Oh, but you do. Well, again, that's my subjective opinion. So we definitely are able to show the way as embodied self-leaders, the love-based kind, remember, not the unembodied fear-based kind. It's unhealthy fear. If they had healthy, they'd be like, okay, we want to save air, water, and food. Let's make sure to be all on the same page, and we wouldn't be going through the shit we're seeing. Oh, it would be nice, wouldn't it? Yes, so one day. So, as embodied self leaders who choose emotional steadiness under activation again and again, welcome aboard. Be yourself, inspire human potential today, tomorrow, and for generations to come. And when I think of every single bit of God's lovely capacity to reach any one of us, I think of how the stories, even though they update and they change throughout time, they continue to bring forth the same core. But that's for me. So I don't want to get lost, but I think I'm going to read to you, let's see, just a little bit from that chapter that I was telling you about from the book I'm a co-author of. And so it's chapter 7. God is discerning equanimous love. I won't read to you the disclaimer, but it's my subjective experience. And I think I'll read to you at least the first paragraph or two. We'll find out. So bear with me, and if you want to go, I understand. So it's been a pleasure having you here. Welcome aboard. And again, share with all. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. PayHip is where you find journal prompts, mindset practices, the bundles. Subscribe to Substack. We're going to have a paid subscriber, what is it called? Digital newsletter at some point, but not just yet. I need to organize the content. It's going to be a be yourself script, something along those lines. And for those of you who have been tuning in, that journal prompt, remember, what are you growing flexibility in and softening? And if you have noticed ego, I'm going to actually add another one. Where is it still rigid? So when you're growing from ego, it's because you're spotting the aspects that it's resisting or bringing rigidity to. And if you're ready to grow into that which is your wholeness, you're going to want to figure out those ways to feel more fulfilled. So you're ready for that next step, which is where ego is not an enemy, self is not an enemy. You consistently expand to more of it. It's fun. So your playground is your mind. It's your embodied brain. As for the world, we, thanks to eustress, are not overwhelmed by it, and that's the part of where it's not some fantasy land. We know what's going on. We're just not destabilized by it from our nervous system. So with that being said, the essence of my past and the relationship that I developed with God, faith, spirituality, and mysticism, and one that continues in my present day, can be summed up as follows. As a child, thanks to my mother teaching me about healthy love, integrity, respect, and what good leadership looks like and acts like, I experienced God as discerning equanimous love. My faith in God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit was allowed to develop freely as my own, which is why I freely think of religion, faith, spirituality, and mysticism. All that involves God, faith, and spirituality, I think of as I want, and I accept that others have different opinions, beliefs, and ways to express their own relationship, experience, and belief in God. What God is to them, and what religion, spirituality, mysticism, and faith mean. By the way, as I was reading that, I'm like, oh, there's my 3-year-old. I, right? So that is funny to hear yourself as you enter into the capacity to notice the different age groups, even though they're all one, but still, they're definitely there. That's for the self-aware person who's consistently growing. We don't talk about shadow work or any of that adolescent work. It's just you and your integration is that. It's where you're able to know your story. And so every time you have something come up, like recently after the full moon, you all know about some of it, you will explore it. And that's why self-reflection, you can do it through talking, through your journaling, but essentially you're going to integrate it once, as Peter Levine points out, sensations, images, behaviors, affects, meanings. So when an image comes up, so when I do this, it's the body, bottom up, and then side, but top down, the thoughts. And actually, where's Lisa Feldman-Barrett? As she explains, she says it best. The brain is running a model of its body. And so the brain uses past experiences to decipher what it senses. So let's say you hear what she says, like the wind or a gunshot, the brain can make predictions, or it will make predictions that are using instances from the past. Which is why it's in order to predict what the brain needs to do next and what your experience will be next, you want to wield that. Okay, so she talks about how the brain or the mind is in the lead. As you all know, Bezel van der Kolk talks about the body keeps the count or the score, however that word goes, and they both help us to know how to work with ourselves. And Dr. Daniel Siegel is another one, amazing. When you're moving the spoke around, and that's his wheel of awareness with uncertainty, we have a good time. So candlelight, from me to you, illuminates damage beneath the feet with wave of lights that come from the heart of the sky. This, I've read this to you before, a stream of consciousness, the love force that made all creation possible. It does not know good or bad. You give it the clear intention that will guide the formlessness to form and manifest the invisible into the world of matter. Through the cycles of life, day to day, the evolving self, oneness with flow, and the relationships that you create and grow. And that's where I also had another stream of consciousness message that I shared with you all, but it's not this one. Give me 1 minute, and then we'll finish up, and you can go on to your merry ways. This one, circumstances in the night, merry laughing, and handsome, and mirror an invasion of reflection of trust. So every time something happens of amazing, it's not a coincidence. Some people do think it is, but I'm going to say that we all get sent to each other so that we can choose that love. And so as I continue to finish what I was reading to you, when accepting that others have a different opinion, belief, and way to express their own relationship experience, and belief in God, what God is to them, and what religion, spirituality, mysticism, and faith mean. So to me, there is no right or wrong on the topic. Everyone has their own unique story and experience, and it saddens me that so many are mean and divisive to each other, trying to define God and faith as right or wrong. But that is a conversation for another time. For now, I say I'd like to share some of my childhood and formative years stories to give you a sense of my background. So I'm going to stop there. And the part about not defining right or wrong when it comes to God, science, spirituality, this is where integrated brains are at. And so when you're a emotionally intelligent person, and that means mentally, you're not going to be argumentative over that which are not only beliefs, but also books. And that's because you know what intelligence actually means. From the epistemic curious brain over here, just letting you know that every word you utter, every action you take, your very existence, is it for everyone's well-being, or is it just about you? Thank you, Sadhguru. And you don't have to fix it, but the question is, why do you do what you do? Why do you want to find life's purpose? Or why do you want to be an integrated brain? Why do you journal? Why do you do mindfulness meditation? Are you doing it because you have a mask? And that's where, when there's a mask in front of you, you'll know who they are. But if you are, on the other hand, your own divine masculine, empowered, integrated brain, divine feminine, empowered, you're not doing it to make someone proud. You're doing it because you're your own star baby, and not in a way of being egotistical. We're all special children. We're all actually children. And when I was telling you about how our ancient stories match up with the present, I was thinking of this rabbi who was explaining the Torah to his students. And he goes on to talk about there are many aspects of the masculine, but there's only one of the feminine. So there's 39 ways to the Torah. So one feminine, but he tries to say he's not going to make it into a gender stereotype, yet he does, which is where I'm going to tell you feminine is not about a woman or man, that body. So, and being a clear channel connected to an integrated brain, as Dr. Daniel Siegel points out, is when your default mode network is downregulated, your left and right work together, and you are able to perceive all of that which goes on, which is why the me doesn't get fucked with. So me and we, and it doesn't matter if it's one person, an entire group of people, I will always be able to self-regulate, recalibrate, bring my best game on, and that's because I chose so. Because my mother taught me manners. Also, I'm 4'9", so I don't stand a chance. So my body, and God made me perfect, so that I would be able to feel that which is my calling, to say, be yourself. Now I have more words to add, but be yourself. As Bruce B. Wilmer told me when I was a kid growing up, and is it Wilmer or Will? I think it's Wilmer. Hold on a minute. Yeah, you're going to have to look that one up. Yes, Wilmer. I can see. I'm starting to lose my sight, people. Believe in yourself to the depths of your being. Nourish the talents your spirit is freeing. Know in your heart when the going gets slow that your faith in yourself will continue to grow. Don't forfeit ambition when others may doubt. It's your life to live. You must live it throughout. Learn from your errors. Don't dwell in the past. Never withdraw from a world that is vast. Believe in yourself. Find the best that is you. Let your spirit prevail. Steer a course that is true. And when someone thinks they have no soul or spirit, that's not true. They do, because we all do. But for those who don't believe in science, no, in spiritual stuff and only science, then you can call it the higher self. I mean, we've got plenty of people out there talking about our brain. Wait for it. Here's Dr. Daniel Siegel again. Wait. We got this one. This is really awesome. Restorative embodiment. You can go and learn about the polyvagal lens. Hold on. We got our physicist scientist who proves the law of everything. It's love. I mean, you got so much out there. That's really amazing. So, anyways, the rabbis, he talks about the feminine. The feminine nurtures all. Then he adds this thing about it being painful to start something new, while the masculine has a hard time committing, and he's saying men. And so again, he is dividing it up into gender stereotypes. But as a feminine with masculine and a mystic, I'm going to tell you again, it's from the mystic 5D perspective. I was like, wow, that part about being a clear channel. And so being able to know that your ego is part of it, yourself is part of it, and then to be the best at authenticity and transparency, which is why when I hear spiritual bypassers or somatic bypassers, I know what they're doing. Following the leader. So I'm going to stop making fun of them, but they are definitely not learning how to bring forth their self-regulation skills. But some people don't want it. Or, I mean, saying they don't want it, there's those who say, hey, they didn't choose to be drama kings or drama queens or anxiety, whatever. They're right. So Robert Sapolsky with his book Determined says we have no free will. I haven't read it yet, but there you go. In the meantime, for those of you who do enjoy free will and self-agency, welcome aboard. I'm going to let you all go. We all will nurture ourselves and others. We all will have an ease at committing, because nobody thinks of life as hard, because you don't feel it hard. So once you're self-regulating, life's purpose is every day I wake up, and hopefully I'll wake up again, and until that day we leave something behind for our future generations to learn more from, and not in a way of we need it. No, in a way of taking care of our planet, taking care of that which is the environment, being wise, and therefore being humble and treating everything with respect. So I know some people are like, why are we going to space? You're right. I get it. We don't know how to take care of our planet yet, but we're trying. Some of us are, and we're going to continue learning how to take care of it. And thanks to those who are curiously going into the space, we're going to finally get off of the planet one day. And so we need, all people are doing something important. And when it's emotionally intelligent ones, we're making sure to try our best to teach good manners to children and grown-ups. And those who don't want it, we know what I do. They're all surrounded by good therapists. That's my magical pata. And so we don't label them as anything except for children who need to be loved, but they don't want a hug. And so we try not to be annoying to them. They don't like our ventral energy. So love is all things. Love never judges. Love never obstructs free will. Welcome aboard again. See you again soon.